Chapter 40 Xiao Wu, Ming, this is my husband, you are not allowed to be cruel to him, please vote. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Aunt Yen, what's wrong? It's nothing. I just can't sleep with you around. Why don't you head out of the valley? Something sounded off in Yenro's voice, but Ming, with his big muscles and simple brain, didn't catch on. He said quickly, okay, Aunt Yen, I'll just be outside the valley. Holler if you need anything. With that, the Titan ape Ming lumbered out of the valley. Phew, Yenro let out a huge sigh of relief, her chest heaving. It was a close call. Her eyes, still glazed over, glared at Zhou Yi, the guy who caused all this. Happy now? Can you let Xiao Wu go? Zhou Yi hadn't left and stayed put. Seeing that Yenro was still worried about Xiao Wu, he grinned and said, put in what? You're trying to back out. Yenro's blurry eyes sharpened. If Zhou Yi was going to pull a fast one, she'd make him pay. Back out? I didn't poison Xiao Wu, okay? Zhou Yi rolled his eyes, then tickled her as if punishing her. What I gave Xiao Wu was the ultimate miracle cure. You think I'm an idiot? Yenro was speechless, not believing a word of it, giving the ultimate elixir to Xiao Wu. Yeah, right. I think you're the idiot, Zhou Yi explained, it's a transformation pill. After taking it, a soul beast can perfectly transform into a human, keep all its strength, and not mess up its future potential. Don't you think that's a miracle cure? What? Transformation pill? Is there even such a magical pill? Yenro's eyes went wide with shock. She'd never heard of anything like it. If it worked like Zhou Yi said, it would be the ultimate miracle cure. You'll see when Xiao Wu successfully transforms. Zhou Yi didn't elaborate, seeing is believing. Yenro looked at Zhou Yi's confident face and started to believe him, but it was still hard to swallow, it seemed too good to be true. Like a dream, after a while, Yenro spoke again. If this transformation pill is so precious, why give it to Xiao Wu? Because I'm into you. Zhou Yi leaned in close and whispered in Yenro's ear. A man's just trying to sweet-talk me. Yenro wasn't buying it, she'd never met Zhou Yi before, and he probably hadn't seen her either. Okay, I like Xiao Wu too. Zhou Yi tacked on. You jerk, well. The sun rose and fell. Outside the valley, Ming the Titan ape lay under a big tree, his orange eyes gazing into the valley, full of anticipation. When Xiao Wu wakes up, she'll be so happy to see me. As the sun rose higher, a large blood ball behind the cabin suddenly cracked, like shattering porcelain, then it broke apart completely, revealing a huddled figure. Her skin was like jade, her hair cascaded down like a waterfall, and her features were exquisite. She had a tall, graceful figure. Xiao Wu blinked her long eyelashes and slowly opened her eyes, feeling like she'd had a great night's sleep, all warm and fuzzy, but she was confused. Who am I? Where am I? Where am I going? After a moment, the memories came flooding back, and Xiao Wu looked down. She gasped, surprised to find she'd actually turned into a human, and she hadn't lost her strength. Zhou Yi hadn't lied, the transformation pill really was incredible, but then she realized she was naked, and her face turned bright red. She looked around and saw she was behind her house. Mom, I'm a human. Mom, I'm a human. Xiao Wu ran toward Yenro's room. Oh no. Xiao Wu's awake. Yenro, who'd finally fallen asleep after being exhausted, was startled awake by Xiao Wu's shout. Don't come in. Yenro barely got the words out when Xiao Wu burst through the door. Luckily, she reacted fast. She shoved Zhou Yi, who was on top of her, under the covers. Mom, look, I'm a human. Xiao Wu didn't notice anything was off. She was just excited to share the news of her transformation. I see, but you look ridiculous. Go get dressed before you come back. Yenro snapped, eyeing Xiao Wu's naked body. Okay. Xiao Wu was deflated, but she went back to her room to find some clothes. but since she'd never been human before, she didn't have any human clothes. Xiao Wu had no choice but to go back to Yenro. Luckily, Zhou Yi took the opportunity and slipped out while Yenro was glaring at him. "Mom, I don't have any clothes." Xiao Wu came back wrapped in a piece of cloth, looking at Yenro's messy room. "Mom, why is your room such a mess?" She wrinkled her nose, wondering why there was such a weird smell. Yenro felt mortified and furious, cursing Zhou Yi 100 times over. "Take these and get changed before you come back." Yenro threw a set of clothes at Xiao Wu and shooed her away. "Okay." Xiao Wu took the clothes, feeling like her mom was acting weird. Didn't she even care that she turned into a human? Something was up. As Xiao Wu left, Yenro used her rabbit-like speed to tidy up the room and herself in a flash. Morning. Zhou Yi jumped in through the window, pulling up his pants, and gave a sly grin. "Good morning, you big creep." Yenro wanted to beat him to a pulp, but she knew she probably couldn't. She'd felt Zhou Yi's strength last night. It was terrifying. "Mom." Xiao Wu came back, changed. She spotted Zhou Yi and her eyes lit up. "Oh, big brother, you're here too." Xiao Wu was overjoyed. She'd been teased by Yenro earlier, so now she ran up to Zhou Yi and grabbed his arm. "Brother, do you think I look good like this?" Zhou Yi looked Xiao Wu up and down. Her long hair cascaded down her back, and she had a beautiful face. Her eyes were particularly bright. She had a graceful figure, and an indescribable, special something about her. Rogue Rabbit really cleaned up well after her transformation. "Great. You're stunning." Zhou Yi was generous with his praise. "It didn't cost anything to be nice." "Really?" Xiao Wu blushed and smiled. She hugged Zhou Yi's neck, kissed him on the cheek, and said, "Thank you. Let me introduce myself. I'm Xiao Wu." "I'm Zhou Yi." As they talked, Zhou Yi wrapped his arm around Xiao Wu's slender waist. After all, she promised to be his wife, Yenro. "Am I invisible?" Roar! Just then, the Titan ape Ming lumbered into the valley and saw Xiao Wu. He didn't know how Xiao Wu had transformed, but Xiao Wu belonged to him. "You jerk, let go of Xiao Wu." Ming was enraged. He pounded his chest, making a roaring sound. He glared at Zhou Yi with fierce yellow eyes. If the cabin wasn't so small, he would have destroyed it. He would have rushed in and smashed Zhou Yi's head. "Ming, what are you doing?" Xiao Wu glanced at Ming, then took Zhou Yi's hand and walked out. "Brother Yi, this is Ming. Don't worry, he looks scary, but he's a softie and won't hurt you." Ming. "My heart. Ming, this is Zhou Yi, and he's going to be my husband." Xiao Wu looked at Ming, her face beaming. "Be nice to him." Boom, star. Ming's brain exploded, like a lightning strike. Everything went blank, only Xiao Wu's words echoed in his mind, stabbing him over and over. He's going to be my husband. Be nice to him. Chapter 41, Cut down the Titan with one sword. The rewards are huge. You are invincible. Please vote. You are listening at novelfull.audio. He'll be my husband someday, so you can't be mean to him. Xiao Wu's words hit Ming like a needle to the chest, echoing in his mind, refusing to fade. Ming clenched his fists, veins bulging, eyes flashing yellow, and fury burning within him. He roared at Zhou Yi, "You damn pretty boy, don't hide behind Xiao Wu. Come on, let's duel." In the animal kingdom, only the strongest males get the mates. Ming believed that to win Xiao Wu back, he had to defeat, or even kill, Zhou Yi. "Ming, what are you doing?" Xiao Wu snapped, clearly angry. Had he even heard her? Ming ignored her, eyes locked on Zhou Yi. As Xiao Wu was about to blow up, Zhou Yi pulled her behind him, looked at the massive black gorilla, and smiled calmly. "If you want to fight, let's go. Come on," he added, "let's not break the little dancer here." With that, Zhou Yi gracefully leaped away, his figure like lightning, dancing out of the valley in a few quick steps. "Not bad." Ming roared, lumbering after Zhou Yi, using all fours. Ming. Xiao Wu stamped her foot, frustrated. "Don't worry," Yenro said, patting Xiao Wu's shoulder. "Zhou Yi's no pushover. Ming won't beat him easily. Let's go watch. Secretly, she hoped Ming would beat Zhou Yi senseless for his antics the night before. Okay. Xiao Wu and Yen Rou hurried after them. They arrived at the forest to find a furious Ming swinging wildly at Zhou Yi, but Zhou Yi was like the wind, dodging every attack with ease. Roar, asterisk bang. Bang. Bang, Ming roared, frustrated. He was fast, but Zhou Yi was faster and more agile. He couldn't land a hit and his anger was building. He unleashed his signature move, gravity field control. Zhou Yi faltered, suddenly feeling weighted down. He was trapped in Ming's gravity field, but Zhou Yi had had his fun. Besides, he was still low level and couldn't sustain a long fight with a 100,000-year-old soul beast like the Titan giant ape. Time to end this, Zhou Yi whispered, slowly drawing the Lingshuang sword. Its energy was frosty and sharp. Die! Ming roared, seeing Zhou Yi's movement restricted and thinking he'd have to take him head-on. A ferocious grin spread across Ming's face. How dare this human compete with him for Xiao Wu? He only had one thought: kill. Even if Xiao Wu was angry afterward, he would kill this human. Zhou Yi, humans are no good. He was only after Xiao Wu's soul bone, only he truly loved Xiao Wu. No! Xiao Wu cried out, seeing Ming's intent to kill. One sword can cleave the world. Reaching level 42 and perfecting the 9 swords of Douluo, Zhou Yi's understanding of this particular sword was even deeper than before. Combined with the Lingshuang sword, a terrifying, earth-shattering energy erupted, instantly splitting the ground. Everything in its path silently split in two, then crumbled to dust. The sword hadn't even arrived, but its intent was already there. Just as he was about to smash Zhou Yi, Ming's hair stood on end like needles. And an overwhelming sense of danger washed over him. Soul power surged through his body, muscles bulging like balloons, turning him into an unshakable mountain. Black air swirled around him, maximizing his defense. Then, the sword struck. This sword was the ultimate attack. No retreat, only forward, offense instead of defense. One-hit kill, asterisk boom. The sword energy collided with Ming's massive body, sending dust and rocks flying. Xiao Wu and Yen Rou stared wide-eyed, mouths agape, hearts in their throats. Brother Yi, Ming. As the dust settled, Xiao Wu and Yen Rou watched with worry as Zhou Yi stood calmly, dressed in snow-white robes, Lingshuang sword in hand. He was the picture of a swordmaster. Ming stood, arms crossed in defense, but a deep, diagonal gash now ran across his arms and chest. The cut was nearly half a foot deep, exposing bone. If Ming wasn't so physically strong and spiritually powerful, Zhou Yi's sword would have cut him in half. Even so, Ming was seriously injured. Asterisk rumble, Ming's mountain of a body crashed to the ground. Ming! Xiao Wu cried, running to his side. After a quick check, she sighed in relief. Ming was badly hurt, but he was as tough as an old boot. He'd live. Ming lay on the ground, eyes glazed over. The blow to his pride was evident. Not only had he failed in love, he'd also lost on the battlefield he was so proud of, and he'd lost to a pretty boy like Zhou Yi. This was devastating for Ming. His core belief had been shattered by Zhou Yi. Yen Rou, who had experienced similar humiliation, understood Ming's feelings. She pulled Xiao Wu and Zhou Yi away. Ming needed space. Xiao Wu's presence would only make him feel more uncomfortable and embarrassed. Besides, Ming wasn't in danger. Back in the valley, Zhou Yi finally had time to check his rewards. Even though Yen Rou wasn't really the target, as Xiao Wu's mother and a 100,000-year-old soul beast, she still qualified for rewards. This time, they were great. 2 in total. Reward 1. Martial Arts Fusion Card. Reward 2. Golden Bell Cover. The Martial Arts Fusion Card could fuse up to 3 martial arts, eliminating the weak aspects and enhancing the strong, creating an even more powerful martial art. That reward was okay, but the Golden Bell Cover was awesome. Don't underestimate the Golden Bell Cover. It's one of Shaolin's 4 legendary skills, the second set of peerless martial arts created by Bodhidharma, who felt that his previous creations weren't perfect enough. It's known as the world's best defense. It has 12 levels. Upon completion of the 12th level, one becomes indestructible, impervious to water, fire, and poison, and able to function without rest. It grants endless power and is incredibly miraculous. Mastering the 12 levels meant you could take on 100 opponents, let alone 10, however, the Golden Bell cover is incredibly difficult to master. Aside from Bodhidharma, almost no one has completed all 12 levels, but Zhou Yi wasn't worried, he could add experience points, that's what he called awesome. After checking his rewards, Zhou Yi told Xiao Wu and Yen Rou he had to leave. He had planned to take them both with him, but Yen Rou refused. Although Xiao Wu was excited to go outside, Yen Rou, in Xiao Wu's form, wanted to teach her some things. She would stay behind until Zhou Yi's next visit, then Xiao Wu could go with him. Zhou Yi didn't push it. Under Xiao Wu's reluctant gaze, he decided to stay one more night and leave in the morning. That night, Zhou Yi slept in Xiao Wu's room. Yen Rou and Xiao Wu danced together. At midnight, seeing that Yen Rou was asleep, Xiao Wu secretly got up and quietly left the room. Oh, well. Yen Rou opened her eyes and sighed. Girls will be girls. She couldn't hide anything from Xiao Wu, and she knew what Zhou Yi was like. Xiao Wu was walking into a trap. Brother Yi. Xiao Wu came to Zhou Yi's room and nestled into his arms. Breathing in his scent, her face flushed with happiness. Perhaps it was the trauma from the Heavenly Palace vision and Yi Jian's death that had left scars on Xiao Wu's soul, plus Zhou Yi was handsome. Xiao Wu was now deeply in love with Zhou Yi, especially after he gave her the transformation pill, turning her into a human. She became even more attached to him. Holding Xiao Wu's soft body, Zhou Yi wasn't about to be shy. If this little rabbit wanted to be caught, who was he to resist? Brother Yi, mom's next door, oh. Before Xiao Wu could finish, Zhou Yi kissed her. You disgusting bastard. Next door, Yen Rou heard Xiao Wu's muffled voice. Just like before, she clutched the quilt, furious, and cursed Zhou Yi in her heart. Shameless. Jerk. Hateful. The faint moonlight shone down. Ming slowly sat up, his dull eyes staring toward the valley, and like a defeated rooster, he limped toward the central lake of life. He was going to find his brother, the Titan Python Ming. Revenge. In the lake of life, a monster surfaced. It had a bull's head and a snake's body. The bull's head was at least 4 meters in diameter. Its large eyes shone like lanterns, connected to a black and blue snake's body that was thicker than a water tank. Second brother, what happened to you? Ming looked at the sword wounds in surprise. They looked like they were caused by a human. No spirit beast in the Star Doe forest could hurt Ming. Brother, it was that damn Zhou Yi. Ming explained everything. Ming frowned, and said slowly, rest up. I'll go with you to meet this Zhou Yi tomorrow. Humans are cunning. Xiao Wu and Aunt Yen are being deceived. Okay. Ming nodded vigorously, his frustration simmering. One day, he would get his revenge. Tomorrow, Ming would take care of Zhou Yi. Although he failed, he thought he'd figured out Zhou Yi's weaknesses and told Ming. Tomorrow, Ming would definitely defeat Zhou Yi, get revenge, and bring Xiao Wu back. Little did he know that Zhou Yi had already figured out the truth about Xiao Wu. They didn't stand a chance. The sun rose and set, a new day began. Drops of water clung to the early morning leaves, and the air was crisp and clear. In a cabin in the valley, the rising sun peeked in through the window, like a mischievous child, shining on the flushed cheeks of Zhou Yi and Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu curled up in Zhou Yi's arms, her head pressed against his chest, with a few wet tears still visible in the corners of her eyes, and a happy smile on her face. Zhou Yi held her soft body, feeling an indescribable sense of accomplishment. He looked to the system. Xiao Wu's reward was even better than Yen Rou's. Reward 1, 1 yang finger. Reward 2, blood bodhi, 36 pieces in a bag. Reward 3, skill level card, designate a skill to be upgraded to perfection. Chapter 42 12 Levels of Golden Bell, beating up the Azure Bull Python. Please vote for me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 1 yang finger. Blood bodhi. Skill level card. Holy crap. This is a jackpot. Rogue Rabbit is a total boss, so awesome. Zhou Yi was blown away. The blood bodhi is amazing, a rare treasure. Legend says it's a unique fruit that grows where a fire Kirin's blood spills. It thrives in scorching heat. It's great for serious injuries, but even if you're not hurt, it gives you a boost. but the real prize is the skill level card. Out of the 3 rewards, this one's the bomb, the others are just gravy. With this card, Zhou Yi could max out the golden bell cover skill. The first 5 levels are nothing special, the real power kicks in at level 6, and level 12 is insane. Legendary founder Bodhidharma was the only one who mastered it completely, becoming indestructible, immune to water, fire, and poison, tireless, and possessing endless power. This insane body-refining skill had Zhou Yi drooling. Once mastered, kidney problems would be a thing of the past. Bodhidharma let masters from every sect punch, kick, slash, burn, and drown him. He went 500 days without sleep or food and even swallowed poison, yet he was unharmed. The power of level 12 is no joke. This trip to Star Doe Forest was a total score. Hyped, Zhou Yi prepped to bolt, ready to use the card and max out his golden bell cover. With level 12, even a title Douluo couldn't scratch him standing still. He'd be unstoppable, no more fear of drawn-out fights. Plus, the golden bell cover is a body-refining skill that works inside and out. You can skip sleep, and your power is limitless. It's like being a one-man army. He could wipe out the whole continent single-handedly. Just take some time. Roar! Suddenly, a thunderous roar echoed from outside the valley, scattering soul beasts everywhere. Zhou Yi, come out and die. The Titan giant ape, Ming, bellowed. This time, he brought his big bro, Ming, confident they'd crush Zhou Yi. Awesome. Perfect. Zhou Yi grinned, eager to test the level 12 golden bell against Ming. It's Ming. Xiao Wu woke up, furious. That jerk is pushing it. Xiao Wu and Zhou Yi were tight now, her heart was all his. Hearing Ming threaten him lit her up. Brother Yi, stay here, I'll send Ming packing. Xiao Wu struggled to her feet, steaming. No need. Zhou Yi held her hand, smiling. I'm a man. Why run from a challenge? Even if you scare him off, he'll be back. I'll beat him until he gets it this time. Feeling Zhou Yi's strong grip, Xiao Wu's eyes glazed over with adoration. She whispered, Brother Yi, he's not a bad guy. Just rough him up a little, okay? Don't kill him. Don't sweat it. I got this. Zhou Yi and Xiao Wu dressed quickly and found Yenro already up, probably hadn't slept a wink. Yenro glared daggers at Zhou Yi and Xiao Wu. The 3 headed out. Outside, Zhou Yi spotted a massive, bull-headed, snake-bodied monster next to Ming, azure bull python. So that's why you got so brave, you big dummy. Brought a friend. Zhou Yi smirked at Ming. Roar! Ming, embarrassed and enraged, roared, don't get cocky. I'll crush you someday. Today it's my bro versus you. Whatever, bring it on. Zhou Yi said casually, acting like he was facing kittens, not 200,000-year soul beasts. Humph, my big bro's got this. Ming scoffed, totally confident in daming. I'm invincible, remember. Zhou Yi cracked his neck, sneering. I just leveled up today, so I'll use you as a warm-up. Arrogant. The azure bull python, daming, blew his top. He couldn't believe some kid named Zhou Yi was so cocky. Even veteran title Douluos respected him. They trembled at his name. Today, he'd teach Zhou Yi some respect, show him what's what. Boom, before Daming could move, Zhou Yi's aura exploded. He used the skill level card to max out golden bell cover. The energy in Zhou Yi's body surged in a specific pattern. He was a furnace, blood boiling, a protective aura unique to golden bell cover formed, washing over his flesh, blood, and organs. His physique shot up. Boom. A smoky haze of energy erupted behind Zhou Yi, forcing Xiao Wu and Yenro back. Whoa, what's going on? Xiao Wu gawked, worried. This must be the breakthrough he mentioned. Yenro, despite living for tens of thousands of years, had never seen anything like it. She couldn't understand it, but she could sense Zhou Yi getting stronger. The aura was like a wild beast awakening. Ming and Ming looked grim. Zhou Yi's power was skyrocketing. He was transforming. the levels of Golden Bell cover surged. Level 6, sharp blades struggle to cut unless they hit the practitioner's eyes, ears, mouth, or key pressure points. Level 7, a force field protects the pressure points, blocking injuries. The head can counterattack. You can turn willow branches into steel to block swords. Fatal points, the eyes, ears, and 5-inch door. Level 8, inner strength makes the body immune to weapons, leaving only a 3-inch door. Any attack, strong or weak, triggers a violent counterattack that can kill or maim. Level 9, leaves and flowers become deadly weapons. Even stronger masters can't cause internal damage. Weapons can only cut skin, not muscle, unless they hit the 1.5-inch door. Level 10, inner strength returns to its true nature, and the force field is so strong it shatters swords. Spitting is like launching a dart. The door shrinks to 1 inch. Level 11, the door shrinks to 1/2 inch. Muscles are as tough as steel when flexed and as soft as cotton when relaxed. Immune to blades, water, and fire. Movements are as fast as wind and thunder, the body as light as a feather. You can walk on water. Level 12, the door vanishes completely. Indestructible, immune to water, fire, and poison, tireless, and with endless power. Roar. Zhou Yi was overflowing with power, his blood like a dragon. He glared at Ming and Ming and roared, "You two big goons, let's do this." "You asked for it." Ming raged, recovered from his injuries, and charged, swinging a fist the size of a sandbag. Zhou Yi stood still, not even trying to block. "Brother Yi, watch out," Xiao Wu cried out, knowing even a stronger Zhou Yi couldn't withstand Ming's fist. "Die!" Ming didn't hold back, slamming the punch into Zhou Yi's head. Boom, the force of the impact blasted everything around them. Trees, rocks, and dirt went flying, leaving a crater with Zhou Yi at the center. Crack, the sound of breaking bones echoed. "No!" Xiao Wu screamed, thinking Ming had blown Zhou Yi's head off. Then Ming roared in pain and flew backward, his arm limp and broken. "My turn!" Zhou Yi charged like a wild animal. "Second bro, look out!" Ming rushed in. Zhou Yi grabbed the massive snake tail swinging toward him and started whipping Ming's body around. Bang bang bang. Zhou Yi, holding the tail like a whip, slammed Ming into the ground and surrounding area. The ground shook, cracks appeared, and everything was chaos. "Brother!" Ming roared and charged at Zhou Yi. Zhou Yi swung, smashing Ming's body right into Ming, sending him flying like a mountain. Bang! 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 Zhou Yi grabbed Ming and slammed him around like a toy, making Xiao Wu and Yenro flinch with every blow. "Brother Yi, show some mercy," Xiao Wu pleaded. Zhou Yi's violent, heroic power turned her on, but Ming and Ming were her friends, she didn't want them hurt. Bang! Zhou Yi tossed Ming aside, and he landed on top of Ming, who was just getting up. Both lay on the ground, unable to move. Brutal. Savage. Yenro and Xiao Wu stared at the motionless Ming and Ming and the craters everywhere, shocked to their core. His masculinity was overwhelming. To soul beasts who worship strength, he was the ultimate alpha. "I lost. Okay, I'm beat." Ming struggled up, his eyes dull and his expression lonely. He dragged his broken body away. Ming got up slowly, head down, looking defeated. This time he had nothing to say. Zhou Yi was too strong, he couldn't win, he was too ashamed to fight Zhou Yi for Xiao Wu. Ming, Ming. Xiao Wu worried as the two beasts limped away. "Xiao Wu, go check on them," Yenro said, concerned. The two beasts were badly hurt. "Brother Yi, can I go see them?" Xiao Wu looked at Zhou Yi. "Go ahead." Zhou Yi wasn't petty, and the two big lugs weren't really a threat. "Brother Yi, I'm going." "Okay. I have to go, too. I'll come get you next time." Zhou Yi nodded. "Yeah, I'll be waiting." Xiao Wu touched Zhou Yi's lips and ran off, her face flushed. Watching Xiao Wu disappear into the forest, Zhou Yi turned to Yenro, mature, stylish, irresistible. "You okay?" Zhou Yi felt awkward. Yenro just glared at him, acting like he should leave. I'm fired up right now, Zhou Yi said slowly. 12 levels of golden bell cover changes everything. The effect was off the charts. What do you want? Yenro took a step back, her chest rising and falling as she looked at Zhou Yi with mixed feelings. Was she scared, nervous, excited, or anticipating something? She crossed her arms, exuding an air of whatever happens, happens. You. Zhou Yi's heart raced. He stepped forward, he reached out and scooped Yenro up in a princess carry. Ah! Yenro gasped. Not here. Chapter 43. Mom, you have a fever. One sword opens the gate of heaven. Please vote for me and recomme. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The star forest was a riot of green, thick with the smell of grass and damp earth. A light, cheerful voice cut through the peaceful valley air. Mom, Xiao Wu bounced into their house, eager to see Yenro, but she wasn't there. Where's Mom? She's not back yet. Xiao Wu was puzzled. Yenro usually loved her peace and quiet. She stuck around the valley and rarely went anywhere, unlike Xiao Wu, who was always on the go and couldn't stand being cooped up. I'll go find her. Feeling restless on her own, Xiao Wu turned and headed out of the valley in search of Yenro. About 10 miles from their valley, a stream twisted through the woods, the water bubbling gently. Tiny fish darted around in the clear water. A massive willow tree stood beside the stream, its green branches cascaded down like thousands of silken ribbons. In the February breeze, the willow branches swayed like a woman's soft hands, making ripples in the water. The stream was so clear, it mirrored everything perfectly. You could see the willow tree reflected in the water, and if you looked closely, you could even make out two figures leaning against its trunk. Time seemed to stand still. Suddenly, a flock of birds burst from the trees. It sounded like some monstrous beast was roaring nearby. Yenro's face was flushed. She slid down from the willow, collapsing into Zhou Yi's arms. Her eyes sparkled, and she traced lazy circles on his skin, a look of shock and utter satisfaction in her eyes. You little devil, she whispered, you wore me out. Yenro gave Zhou Yi a playful look, radiating pure feminine charm. Xiao Wu couldn't even compare to that little devil. Was he really that young? Zhou Yi pretended to be offended, playfully slapped her behind, and grumbled. Don't act like you don't know. Ow! Yenro playfully bit down on Zhou Yi's shoulder. Zhou Yi was built like a tank, she could barely handle him. After catching her breath, Yenro ran her hands over Zhou Yi's muscles, mesmerized. She knew he was powerful from their previous battles, but feeling it firsthand was something else entirely. Even 100,000-year-old soul beasts like the Titan giant ape and azure bull python, famed for their strength, had been no match for him. It was so intoxicating. Like a little boat tossed around by endless waves, Zhou Yi held Yenro close, his hand stroking her back, his gaze drifting across the landscape. Suddenly, Yenro flinched, as if she'd been zapped. Oh no, Xiao Wu's coming. She was exhausted, barely able to move. Panicked, she said to Zhou Yi, you gotta go, quick. Don't let her see you. Zhou Yi chuckled, leaned down to kiss her, and said, all right, I'm out of here. See you and Xiao Wu later. Then, he vanished from sight. That little rascal. Yenro felt every ache in her body and muttered under her breath. She could hear Xiao Wu getting closer and had to pull herself together. Mom! Xiao Wu saw Yenro and raced over. She found Yenro sitting under the willow, her cheeks bright red, and asked anxiously. Mom, what's wrong? Do you have a fever? Yeah. I feel so hot. Xiao Wu touched Yenro's forehead and then her cheek, exclaiming, Mom, you really do have a fever. I'll take you home. Xiao Wu scooped up Yenro and ran towards their house. I guess I do have a fever. Zhou Yi reappeared, watching Xiao Wu and Yenro disappear. He rubbed his chin thoughtfully and said. But I already got my fever shot. I'll be fine. He focused his thoughts. Time to figure out what he'd gained from this trip to the Star Dough forest. Completing the 12 levels of the Golden Bell had not only boosted his strength and transformed his body, but it had also pushed his cultivation to level 49. If he took a blood bodhi and refined it, he could easily hit level 50 and become a soul king. But there was no need to rush, he was going to head to the Ice and Fire Eyes in Sunset Forest. It was a treasure trove of medicinal herbs, a natural pharmacy. With his master-level medical skills, he could make the most of the plants he found there. He had two goals for this trip. First, he wanted to claim it for himself, so it wouldn't be ruined by anyone else. Second, he wanted to collect herbs to boost his own cultivation, as well as that of his women, and to nourish Erlong's baby. Let's try out that martial arts fusion card first. Zhou Yi pulled out the martial arts fusion card from his system backpack. He'd gotten it as a reward for wooing Yen Rou. He decided to merge it with the 14 deadly swords, the 9 swords of Douluo, and 1 sword of another world. This fusion card could combine up to 3 skills, perfect. Each technique had its own strengths. They whirled and shifted in Zhou Yi's mind. He was transported to a world of swords, practicing endlessly, learning, and combining, day in and day out, year after year, the lethal intent of the 14 deadly swords, the solitary intent of the 9 swords of Douluo, and the world-altering intent of 1 sword were constantly merging and evolving, transforming into a new kind of sword intent, an intent that could slice through the sky, magnificent and powerful. Utterly dominant, Zhou Yi opened his eyes, 2 beams of sword light shooting out. The plants around him seemed to transform into magic swords. Bowing to Zhou Yi, every living thing within a kilometer radius felt as if it had been pierced by thousands of blades, falling to the ground without a sound, but without a scratch on their bodies. They had been slain by Zhou Yi's unintentional sword intent, the heaven-splitting sword intent. 1 sword to cleave the gates of heaven. Invincible. Zhou Yi gripped the Lingshuang sword, a powerful urge to split the sky with 1 strike surging through him, armed to the teeth. And ready to kill. I've got the 12 levels of perfect golden bell, my defense is unbreachable. I've mastered the heaven-splitting sword, my attack is unmatched. All I'm missing is speed. Zhou Yi glanced at the 6,000 plus experience points he'd saved up and spent over 4,000 to upgrade the Zhongyi Immortal Step. As long as you want to ascend to the Immortal Steps, mastered. Zhou Yi called up his stats. Host, Zhou Yi, age, 22. Cultivation, Soul Sect, level 49, Wuhuan, Dragon Sword, skills, Sacred Heart Technique, mastered. 351/50,000, Golden Bell Cover, 12 levels complete, Soul Skills, Fleeting Glimpse, 520 years, so close to the end of the world. 1001 years, Gravity Field, 4,000 years, Roar of Tigers and Dragons, 15,000 years, skills, Heaven-Splitting Sword, 551/10,000, Grandmaster Medical Skills, perfect, 1 finger of consonants, perfect, Intentional Steps to Immortality, 0/10,000, Phantom of the Heavenly Palace, 662/5000, Shocking Jiebashang, 253/10,000, Lingbo Microstep, 56/2000, Soul Bone, Wind and Thunder Wings, Special, Wheel-Turning Technique, Backpack, Bodhi Jade Tea, Blood Bodhi, Eternal Heart, for Absolutes of the Sacred Heart, for Tribulations of the Sacred Heart, 7 Impossible Situations, Nahai Sacred Heart Mantra, 9 In Sutra, Lingshuang Sword, 1 Yang Finger, Experience Points, 1856. Nice. Zhou Yi nodded, adjusted his belt, and began to move using immortal steps. His figure was like lightning, graceful and ethereal. Ice and Fire Eyes, here I come. Chapter 44. Tiandou meets an old friend. Tang Hao is here again. Please vote for me, please recommend. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tiandou City, compared to the Tiandou Empire's capital, Notting City was a backwater town, not even in the same league, but Zhou Yi wasn't bothered. The size didn't matter, it's the spirit that counts. Besides, Zhou Yi saw Tiandou City for what it was. Now, he was ready to build his own city, a city grander than Tiandou, maybe even Wuhuan City, the Soul Master's Mecca, Emperor Wu City. He'd lacked the power before. Zhou Yi hadn't dared to be so visible, but now that his golden bell was maxed out, even if Qian Daolu and Tang Chen, those level 99 powerhouses, showed up, Zhou Yi was confident he could take them. He was free to do what he wanted. If he wanted to spread martial arts across the land and cement his position as the martial ancestor, he needed a home base. Emperor Wu City, Zhou Yi's planned sanctuary for warriors. It would dwarf Wuhuan City, home of the Spirit Hall, and become the undisputed #1 city on the Douluo continent. Zhou Yi was headed for the ice and fire. I in the sunset forest and was just passing through Tiandou city. Being in Tiandou city brought a certain graceful, elegant woman to mind. Tang Yuehua was something special. Zhou Yi missed her. Maybe it was true what they said. A wife is never as good as a mistress, and a mistress is never as good as a fling. Zhou Yi headed straight for the heart of Tiandou city and stopped in front of a tall building. It was a 5-story building. Quite high even by Tiandou city standards, it felt refined. The architecture had a slightly old-fashioned charm. A simple sign read, Yuexian. The place wasn't swarming with people, but those who did come and go were either dressed to the nines or had a remarkable poise, men and women. Zhou Yi liked to do things differently, so, his celestial palace projection subtly influenced the minds of those around him, making him seem invisible. Zhou Yi walked right in. Not bad, that the projection worked perfectly. He passed maids and guests alike, and none of them even registered his presence. Stepping into Yuexian, he was greeted by a delicate fragrance. A screen made of carved boxwood gave off a woody scent. 2 10-foot-tall exotic orchids stood in front of it, adding their subtle perfume. Yeah, this fits Yuehua perfectly. Thought as if he were coming home. Zhou Yi looked around and headed upstairs. He could sense Tang Yuehua on the top floor. Outside a refined loft, a beautiful young woman in a silver dress stood on the balcony, gazing down at Tiandou city. Her delicate face held a trace of melancholy, and her elegance was captivating. Her fair hands rested on the railing, and her eyes were fixed on the distance. Lost in thought, Zhou Yi quietly approached her from behind. Her mature curves were beautifully accentuated by the silver dress. That unmatched grace, even standing casually, was something to behold. She radiated a gentle aura that seemed to soothe every ache in the world. Zhou Yi felt it, and his world-weary heart seemed to melt away. He felt free. What's on your mind? Zhou Yi moved closer, wrapping his arms around her from behind, whispering in her ear. Ah, startled, Tang Yuehua relaxed slightly when she recognized Zhou Yi's voice and turned her head, giving him an angry look. What are you doing? You scared me half to death. Let me go. Seeing Zhou Yi, Tang Yuehua was surprised, happy, embarrassed, and annoyed. All at once. They were exposed, but it was broad daylight. What did you think I was doing? Zhou Yi kissed her earlobe. Since she'd come back to Tiandou city, Tang Yuehua had dreamed of him every night. Zhou Yi's image kept popping into her head. She couldn't say she didn't want him, but their relationship, she couldn't define it. Did you miss me? Zhou Yi rested his head on her shoulder, his face close to hers. Who would miss you, you jerk? Tang Yuehua grabbed his wandering hand and said, irritated. Stop messing around, or I'll get mad. You're so cold. Zhou Yi feigned sadness, and here I was, thinking about you night and day. I came to Tiandou city just to see you, wanting to surprise you, but I guess I was just fooling myself. She knew Zhou Yi was exaggerating about thinking of her day and night, but what woman didn't love sweet talk? And it was true that Zhou Yi had come to Tiandou city to see her. That touched her. Tang Yuehua relented. Zhou Yi moved closer. Not here, Tang Yuehua said quickly. It was too late. She didn't dislike Zhou Yi, she liked him. Where, then? Zhou Yi gestured toward a tea table by the window. No, Tang Yuehua was firm. What was the difference? At least they'd be under a roof. Then it's here. I don't want to. At that moment, 2 strapping young men with impressive auras strode into Yuexian. Yuexian's maids rushed to greet them, their eyes full of respect and admiration. The Haotian twins, Tang Hao and Tang Hao, the next master of the Haotian clan and heir, extremely talented. There was no doubt they'd become titled Douluos. Where's Yuehua? Tang Hao asked. Tang Hao and Tang Hao felt guilty about Tang Yuehua being kidnapped by the thugs in Nodding City. They came to see her every so often. Everyone at Yuexian knew them. Tang Hao had brought Tang San here and had been stopped because of his clothes. The pavilion master is on the 5th floor. No one is to disturb her. The manager rushed over and said. Got it. We can go up ourselves. Tang Hao dismissed the manager and headed upstairs with Tang Hao, 5th floor loft. Interesting. Here come the Xiao brothers again. Zhou Yi was busy, but still observant. He'd spotted Tang Hao and Tang Hao before they even entered Yuexian. Yuehua, your brothers are here. Zhou Yi whispered into Tang Yuehua's ear. What? My brothers? Tang Yuehua tensed up, startled. Go, quickly. Before Tang Yuehua could finish, Zhou Yi cut her off. Tang Xiao and Tang Hao were on the 5th floor. They heard soft cries. They knocked on the door and said gently. Yuehua, it's us. Ah, what are you doing here? Well. I'm resting. Come back another day, Tang Xiao and Tang Hao frowned. Yuehua, are you okay? I'm fine, Tang Yuehua glared at Zhou Yi, before speaking. Go. Let's go. Yuehua, what's wrong? Can you open the door? Tang Xiao and Tang Hao exchanged worried glances. It seemed that Tang Yuehua was hiding something. Yuehua, we're coming in. They had to see her and make sure she was safe. Tang Yuehua panicked. She said, don't come in. Go downstairs. When Tang Xiao and Tang Hao heard this, they exchanged a look and came to a decision. Bang. Without another word, they kicked the door open. Tang Hao, I will kill you. Zhou Yi. Tang Xiao cried. Zhou Yi died. Chapter 45. Get Out. Eyes of Ice and Fire, please vote for me and recommend me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ugh, Tang Yuehua yelled, chucked a pillow at Tang Hao and Tang Xiao, and snapped, get out. Tang Hao and Tang Xiao just stood there, dumbfounded. They saw Tang Yuehua lying on the couch, cheeks flushed. When she saw them, she sat up a little and glared at them. Was she really resting? Or were they imagining things? Had she tried anything drastic? A pillow came flying, and Tang Hao instinctively caught it, looking sheepish. Yuehua, if something's wrong, you gotta tell us. Since you're resting, we won't bother you. Tang Xiao blurted out, then turned and headed out. Tang Hao set the pillow down and followed him. Even though they were siblings, if Tang Yuehua was resting, it wasn't right to hang around in her room. Click. After leaving, Tang Hao gently closed the door and paused before they both kept walking, leaving the 5th floor. Bro, I think Yuehua was just crying. Tang Hao said suddenly. When he caught the pillow, he could feel it was wet with tears. I know, Tang Xiao nodded. He'd noticed the tears welling in her eyes and her flushed face. It definitely wasn't just from embarrassment or anger at being interrupted. I think Yuehua might be sick. Her face is unusually red. Tang Xiao added. What should we do? Tang Hao asked. Let's just wait here. Yuehua will come out eventually. Okay. Downstairs, Zhou Yi slipped out from under the covers. Right, the second he sensed Tang Xiao and Tang Hao were about to burst in, he'd grabbed Tang Yuehua and ducked under the quilt in a flash. He'd masked his presence, so they couldn't detect him, naturally. You jerk. Tang Yuehua was furious when she saw Zhou Yi. If they'd been caught, she'd have died of embarrassment. She might as well be dead now. I'll get you. Tang Yuehua lunged at Zhou Yi, seething. Zhou Yi wasn't exactly thrilled either. He was pretty ticked off himself. Downstairs, Tang Xiao and Tang Hao were drinking tea, but they were still anxious, guilty, and furious at the flower thief. Even cup after cup of green tea couldn't cool their anger. Too bad the creep was dead. They had nowhere to vent their rage. An hour later, Zhou Yi stared at the ceiling, feeling the warmth of the woman in his arms, and couldn't help but sigh. What a crazy morning. He looked down at Tang Yuehua, who was sleeping soundly. Traces of tears still lingered in the corners of her eyes, as if she couldn't quite shake off the recent activity. Her pretty face was still flushed, like a tipsy beauty. Yuehua, Zhou Yi gently nudged her, but she remained fast asleep. Guess I can't be blamed for slipping out. Zhou Yi smiled wryly. He carefully moved her to the side and then gently pulled himself away. After looking back at the still sleeping beauty, Zhou Yi gave her some medicine, covered her with the quilt, and left a bottle of 9-flower jade dew cream on the bedside. Phew. Letting out a breath, Zhou Yi adjusted his belt, slipped out, and vanished from the room in a heartbeat. He wasn't the type to just cut and run. he'd be back to see Tang Yuehua after his trip to the ice and fire eyes. As it happened, the elixirs there might even help her evolve her martial soul, giving her a chance to practice. Even if they didn't, as Zhou Yi's woman, he could still give her a cultivation method. She could train later. Zhou Yi moved fast. He zipped past the 5th floor of Yuexian and soared into the sky. Even Tang Hao and Tang Xiao downstairs didn't notice him. Blue skies, fluffy clouds, rolling green hills, sparkling streams. Zhou Yi stood above the clouds, gazing at the magnificent scenery below, and felt an overwhelming sense of joy and peace. A roll in the hay is better than any old dream. Being the lord of Yuexian, he was really starting to dig it. 12 levels of golden bell cover, maxed out, incredible. Thinking of Tang Yuehua, Zhou Yi sighed happily to himself. 12 levels of golden bell cover meant his muscles were as strong as steel when flexed, as soft as cotton when relaxed, invulnerable to almost anything, immune to fire and water, a strike like thunder, movement as light as a feather, and the ability to run on water without sinking, especially the ability to sleep without rest and possess endless skill. That was what Zhou Yi loved the most, invincible. Imagining discussing the meaning of life with Tang Yuehua when he returned, Zhou Yi picked up the pace. Sunset Forest was about 100 miles east of Tiandou City. It was one of the biggest gathering spots for wild soul beasts in the Tiandou Empire. While not as big as the Star Dou Forest, it had plenty of high-level soul beasts. However, these soul beasts were no match for Zhou Yi. Of course, the most dangerous thing in the heart of Sunset Forest wasn't the soul beasts, but the poisonous mist that scared them off and threatened even title Douluo. But poison was nothing to Zhou Yi. Not only was he a master physician, but his 12-level golden bell cover made him immune to all poisons and impervious to fire and water. Zhou Yi strolled through the depths of Sunset Forest like he was taking a walk in the park. Soon, he reached a mountaintop. The terrain here was unique. Before him was an inverted cone-shaped valley. The top of the mountain he was standing on was at the edge. Thick heat rose from the valley floor. The air was humid and smelled faintly of sulfur. Zhou Yi knew he was above the ice and fire eyes. Without hesitation, he used the Zhou Yi immortal step and leaped into the air. He moved downwards. The fog was very thick, but it had no impact on Zhou Yi. When he reached the valley floor, he saw a hot spring. The hot spring wasn't huge, but it was split into 2 sections. In the oval pool, the hot spring water was milky white on one side and crimson on the other. Even stranger, though they were in the same pool, they remained separate. They didn't mix and stayed strictly on their own sides. The steam rising between the 2 hot springs billowed upward, dispersing slowly at the mountain pass. The ice and fire yin-yang well. Zhou Yi looked at the hot spring, and related information flooded his mind. It was a special kind of treasure. Many plants had very specific environmental needs, especially the rarer medicinal ingredients, but the ice and fire eyes were a natural wonder, perfect for allowing rare plants to thrive. It would even shorten their growth time tenfold. For example, a Ganoderma that grew for 10 years here would have the effect of a 100-year-old Ganoderma. What a fantastic place, like a natural medicine garden. Zhou Yi decided this would be his personal garden from now on. How could a master healer not have his own garden? Zhou Yi stepped forward and touched the hot spring. The white side was freezing, the red side was scalding. Even a titled Douluo couldn't withstand them for long. Zhou Yi had a Vajra body, impervious to water and fire. He could take a dip in either side and be fine. Extreme heat, extreme cold. Looking at the ice and fire eyes, the extremely cold and extremely hot nexus, Zhou Yi recalled Tang San taking 2 incredibly toxic immortal herbs, the star anise ice grass and the fire xingjiao. He had used the ice and fire eyes to temper his body. Now that I've completed the 12 levels of the golden bell cover, I could take 2 toxic immortal herbs and use the ice and fire eyes to train my body like Tang San did. It would work, but the effect would be limited. If I could advance the golden bell cover to the 13th level, then with the help of the herbs and the ice and fire eyes, I might be able to complete the 13th level. Chapter 46 Water, Fire and Golden Bell, 100 Poison Elixir, 100,000 Years Soul Ring. As you are listening at novelfull.audio. The 13-level golden bell wasn't just a figment of Zhou Yi's imagination. He already had a clear concept in mind, a golden bell incorporating ice and fire, or rather, water, fire, and metal. Completing this training wouldn't just elevate his physical body, it would grant him mastery over the elements of water and fire. It was similar to the 9 heavens diagram of chiming from the wilderness refining method of gods and demons, which served as his inspiration, while he knew deducing a full 13-level water, fire, and metal golden bell wouldn't be quick. He could dump experience points into his current 12-level version. Given enough experience, he was certain he could figure it out. Too bad Zhou Yi was broke at the moment, he'd have to shelve it for now. Besides, with his current strength, there was no real urgency. Focusing his thoughts, Zhou Yi surveyed the surrounding medicinal herbs, and what a sight it was. Even though he'd anticipated it, he was still stunned. Around the ice and fire eyes, a dazzling array of plants grew in every shape and form. It was a true botanical paradise, and every single plant was rare. Seeing it firsthand, Zhou Yi understood what a treasure trove of medicinal ingredients this place was. With this natural pharmacy at his disposal, and combined with his cultivation techniques and master-level medical skills, Zhou Yi was confident he could elevate all his women to title Douluo status within 5 years. No, scratch that, 10 years max. It was an old saying, poor in academics, rich in martial arts. Access to top-tier medicinal ingredients would significantly accelerate their cultivation. The folks in Douluo continent lacked proper techniques and relied solely on meditation to enhance their soul power, their progress limited by talent and ignorance of how to truly leverage these resources. If these herbs fell into their hands, it would be a complete waste. Even Tang San was guilty of this. Although knowledgeable about the properties of various medicinal herbs, his understanding was still rudimentary, often resorting to direct consumption. So many immortal herbs, Tang San would simply hand one to Dai Mubai and the others to eat directly. While effective, it was an enormous waste of potential. If Zhou Yi were in charge, one fairy medicinal herb, properly combined and decocted, would be enough to power level all the Shrek's 7 devils. Zhou Yi scanned the area with undisguised excitement. The finest cordyceps and snow silkworms, potent tonics. Cinnabar lotus, with its affinity for yin and cold, an effective remedy against dryness, heat, and fire-based poisons, and so on. Soon, Zhou Yi spotted a particularly precious fairy herb, the fragrant Xiao immortal. It was a large, pale pink, leafless flower with a 3-foot stem and a bloom a full foot in diameter. Each petal looked like pure crystal, swaying gently in the mist where the red and white springs converged. Its stamens were lavender, like purple diamonds nestled within, though its fragrance carried far. It was delicate, reminiscent of a virgin's sweet scent. The fragrant Xiao immortal was the bane of all poisons, capable of neutralizing any toxin. It didn't actively detoxify, but it offered resistance. Within its vicinity, no poison had any effect. In other words, if you were already poisoned, the fragrant Xiao immortal was useless, but if you weren't, you'd be immune to any poison while near it. Seemed kind of useless, but that was just the standalone effect of the fragrant Xiao immortal. Tang San knew these herbs, but his limited medical skills prevented him from truly unlocking their potential, from utilizing their true effectiveness. Fragrant Xiao immortal is the bane of hundreds of poisons. Combined with other ingredients, it could be used to create 100 poisons elixir. After taking it, you'd be virtually immune to all poisons, becoming immune to all toxins in the world. Tang San just wasted it. Zhou Yi plucked the herb and stowed it in his space ring for safekeeping. While his 12-level golden bell granted him poison immunity, his women were vulnerable. This would be perfect for 100 poisons elixir to give to Erlong, Yin, Sure, and the others. It's easy to dodge a punch, harder to dodge a sneak attack. With poison immunity, their chances of surviving future threats would be greatly improved. Zhou Yi pivoted and surveyed the entire herb garden. A steady stream of immortal medicinal ingredients emerged: acacia heartbroken red, strange velvet, antler chrysanthemum, narcissus jade muscle and bone, Qiluo tulip, coxcomb phoenix sunflower. Zhou Yi was overwhelmed and elated. He paused near an unassuming herb and gently knelt down. It was entirely green, but at its heart were 3 snow-white leaves, each cradling a few drops of water, like morning dew, see-through autumn dew. Eating it helped sharpen your eyes and see through illusions. The description was a bit embellished, but it was undeniably an immortal medicinal plant. There are tons of medicinal ingredients here. The main ingredient is the see-through autumn water dew. Combined with the Jingmuji divine technique, it might be possible to develop piercing eyes and golden eyes. If nothing else, it can also transform Jingmuji. That without hesitation, Zhou Yi plucked the Wangchuan autumn water dew, mixed it with other rare herbs, prepared a potion, and swallowed it. Its potent effects rippled through his body, particularly a surge of cool energy that shot up to his head and into his eyes. Zhou Yi quickly activated his sacred heart art to refine it. A faint red-gold aura enveloped his head, and golden light, like threads, streamed towards his eyes. If Zhou Yi checked his attributes panel, he'd see the experience points for his Jingmuji skill skyrocketing. Gains of thousands upon thousands. In less than half an hour, the experience for Jingmuji had surged past 10,000. Shocking calamity complete. Even more surprisingly, the experience points continued to climb even after completion. He didn't know how long it had been. Finally, Zhou Yi fully refined the medicinal power of the sea through autumn water dew and slowly opened his eyes. In an instant, the entire valley seemed to illuminate, and Zhou Yi's eyes took on a purple-gold hue. The majestic and radiant brilliance resembled the divine eyes of gods observing the mortal realm. What a transformation! Zhou Yi was astonished by the changes in his eyes and the enhanced shocking tribulation skill. Previously, Jingmuji was primarily a mental attack, but now it could be used for pupil illusions, illusion detection, and other potent functions. It was as if Jingmuji had been reborn, becoming far more powerful. Zhou Yi's eyes had evolved into spiritual eyes. Excellent! And my cultivation reached level 50. Talk about a boost. It's worthy of being an immortal medicinal material. It is indeed very effective. Zhou Yi rose to his feet and stopped before a white herb. Waves of terrifying cold air emanated from it. The source was this white medicinal herb. Its top resembled a large white flower, octagonal in shape, with stamens that shimmered like ice crystals in the center. It lacked any scent, and it grew at the center point on the Hanjiyin spring side. This was another immortal herb, containing the rare and highly toxic star anise ice grass. It was a strange, cold flower that could chill the heart and numb the nervous system. The air within 10 meters was frigid, and prolonged exposure could lead to incurable cold poison. Zhou Yi drew a dagger and reached out to gently cut off 2 leaves. His arm and the dagger instantly became coated in frost. Snap! Zhou Yi shook his hand, shattering the frost, and retrieved 2 leaves. Then, Zhou Yi moved to the center of the blazing yang spring and examined a plant that resembled a cabbage but was entirely red. In stark contrast to the frigid star anise ice grass, this was a poisonous fairy plant carrying a top-tier fire toxin, the fire apricot jiaoshu. It thrives in hot environments, even surviving in magma. Its properties were the opposite of the star anise ice grass. Zhou Yi took 2 of the leaves from that plant. 2. He'd save the rest for when he tried to break through to the 13 levels of water, fire, and metal. Taking 2 leaves from each was for brewing Xianbing Lihua liquor. This medicinal wine was different from the black ice fire wine in Xia Kuxing. It was much stronger. The power of ice and fire within could cleanse marrow, cut bones, and open up the meridians throughout the body. When he got back, Zhou Yi would teach Erlong, Yin, and the others the 9 Yin scripture. Xianbing Lihua liquor would get them there in one step. After gathering the necessary ingredients, Zhou Yi rearranged the surroundings to match the original poisonous mist, making the toxicity even more intense. Even a titled Douluo would have to retreat, or face certain death. Once he was finished, Zhou Yi stood on the mountaintop, overlooking the sunset forest. Now that I'm level 50, what kind of soul ring should I hunt? Zhou Yi was in a quandary. His 12 levels of perfect golden bell could withstand it, not to mention 10,000-year soul rings. Even 100,000-year and million-year soul rings could be absorbed with ease. Chapter 47 Goodbye Tang Yuehua, shocked Tang Hao for 100 years, please vote. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tiandou City, Yuexian Pavilion. The 5-story building still stands, a beacon of elegance in the bustling heart of Tiandou City. It's like a poised and intelligent beauty, serene and detached from the city's chaos. Zhou Yi arrived on Yueshuan's 5th floor. This was his 2nd time here. The path was familiar. The sunset forest held no powerful soul beasts. Zhou Yi wasted no time leaving the ice fire yin-yang well, heading straight out. Tang Yuehua's image, mature and graceful, filled his thoughts, stirring a longing for her sophisticated beauty. He rode hard, making a beeline for Yuexian in Tiandou City. It was already the afternoon of the following day. Absorbing and comprehending the autumn dew had taken a significant amount of time. he quietly slipped into the suite. All was still. Zhou Yi sensed Tang Yuehua was on the couch, apparently taking a nap. Gently lifting the mosquito net, he gazed upon her familiar face. She was enchanting, even more alluring than any young girl. Her dark hair cascaded down like a waterfall of ink, a sleeping beauty in repose. Thick, long lashes framed her eyes, above a straight nose and rosy lips. She wore a silver nightgown, its fabric teasingly revealing her curves. Zhou Yi paused, simply admiring her, taking in every detail. The sight relaxed and pleased him. Her pale feet, straight and slender, with delicate toes, looked as though they were carved from jade, tempting one to touch them. Her legs were slightly bent, the curve rose to the swell of her hips, then narrowed sharply at her waist, a handful to grasp. Above, her breasts, full and ripe, defied restraint, a truly dangerous allure. Her peaceful slumbering expression was a stark contrast to her waking self. Soft as a feather, Zhou Yi settled beside Tang Yuehua. Propping himself up on one elbow and gazing at her, Tang Yuehua stirred, slowly opening her eyes. A handsome face with a mischievous grin filled her vision. "Ah," that startled, she exclaimed, "you didn't leave. What are you doing here?" That resentment simmered in her voice, a reaction to his abrupt departure the day before. It was true, he'd thoroughly stirred her up, then she awoke to find him gone. The feeling of emptiness had been profound. "I was busy yesterday, so I came to see you today." Zhou Yi reached out and drew Tang Yuehua into his arms, inhaling her intoxicating fragrance. "Let me go." "What do you take me for, someone you can just come and go with as you please?" That she pushed against him, a point of pride even for a courtesan. "You're my woman, of course." That he lowered his head, kissing her deeply, then said with a smile, "Besides, when haven't I left my valuables in your keeping?" Valuables? That she was puzzled. She couldn't recall him giving her anything of value, only the bottle of 9-flower jade cream from yesterday. Then the anger surged back. He was really too much, but curiosity piqued her. How had Zhou Yi become so powerful so quickly? It had only been half a month since they parted ways in Nodding City. Even a genius soul master couldn't improve their soul power by a single level in that time, let alone a level. Even 10 or 20 couldn't account for the change in Zhou Yi. Zhou Yi, care to know about the 12 levels of Golden Bell Shield? The body of Vajra. Never sleeps. Power is endless. I'll entrust them to you again. Zhou Yi was never one to be stingy. You tell me to save, I have nothing left. You jerk. Tang Yuehua finally caught on, grabbing Zhou Yi's wandering hand. Stop it. My brothers are downstairs. What if they come up and see us? Humph, you nearly killed me yesterday. That the memory still sent a shiver down her spine, yet, deep down, there was a flicker of excitement. Perhaps every woman with an elegant facade harbors a rebellious streak within. Don't worry, even if they do come up, I'll have them stand guard outside the door. Zhou Yi grinned. And they wouldn't dare to enter, even if you screamed bloody murder. Impossible. Tang Yuehua rolled her eyes. Unless you blocked their ears, or used some soul skill to dampen the noise. Where's the fun in that? No challenge. Zhou Yi scoffed. Believe it or not, I'll have them escort me in and stand guard outside. They wouldn't enter without my permission, even if you called the heavens down. No way. Absolutely not. Tang Yuehua shook her head emphatically, glaring at Zhou Yi. You are not allowed to tell anyone about us. How about a bet? An idea struck Zhou Yi. He looked at Tang Yuehua and said, if I win, will you recreate yesterday's pose? That he gestured to the balcony railing. Yesterday, Tang Yuehua had stood there, gazing into the distance, her perfect back and alluring curves an unforgettable image. Fine, I'm game. Tang Yuehua didn't believe he could possibly succeed. So, naturally, she set conditions. You can't use any soul power or skills, or any other means. You can't reveal my relationship with you. And you have to get them to escort you in. The combination of these stipulations made it virtually impossible. No problem, just wait and see. Zhou Yi chuckled, embracing Tang Yuehua for a passionate kiss before vanishing from Yuexian. He can't actually do it, can he? Impossible. Zhou Yi's confidence unnerved Tang Yuehua, but she racked her brain, searching for any way he could succeed, and found none. If Tang Hao and Tang Xiao witnessed Zhou Yi taking advantage of her, she would just, unaware of her anxiety. Zhou Yi had already arrived at Yueshuan's entrance. This time, he didn't bother hiding, striding in openly. His handsome features, his ethereal grace, immediately captured the attention of everyone in Yueshian. An attendant hurried forward, bowing respectfully. "Welcome, sir. How may I assist you?" "I'm Zhou Yi. I'm here to see Miss Tang." "Master Zhou." Upon hearing the name, the attendant stole a few glances at Zhou Yi. He was the most talked-about figure on the Douluo continent right now. Even the Haotian brothers and the saints of the Spirit Hall paled in comparison. Martial soul transformation, spirit power theory, kendo theory, swordsmanship and spirituality. Master of Sword Douluo, in particular, the Zhou Yi theory, recently printed and sold in major cities, was creating a sensation. Almost every soul master was buying a copy. Ordinary people were even more enthusiastic. They hoped their martial souls would mutate, even if the odds were slim. Still, there was hope. The Zhou Yi theory was their hope, and it wasn't expensive. 1 gold soul coin per book. Most could afford it. Even the poor could pool their resources and buy a copy together. For example, an entire village could buy one and take turns reading it. What's more, many were illiterate. A village could buy a copy and have someone read it aloud to everyone else. "Master Zhou, please, I'll inform the pavilion master immediately." Knowing Zhou Yi had rescued Tang Yuehua from a flower picker in Nodding City and was on good terms with her, the attendant didn't dare to neglect him. At the same time, someone went to inform Tang Hao and Tang Xiao. "Brother Zhou." "Brother Zhou." Tang Xiao and Tang Hao strode over, beaming. They escorted Zhou Yi upstairs. "Brother Zhou, what brings you here?" "We're hosting today. You have to have a drink with us." "Brother Xiao, Brother Hao, I didn't expect to find you here too." "Perfect timing." Zhou Yi smiled. "My soul power reached level 50. I went to the Sunset Forest to hunt soul beasts and happened to pass by." "What? Brother Zhou, level 50 already?" Tang Xiao and Tang Hao were stunned. Wasn't he just above level 30 before? Only a short time has passed, and now he is level 50. That's not fast on a rocket. Is the mutated dragon sword spirit of Zhou Yi so terrifying? "Just lucky," Zhou Yi said modestly. With his current power, he didn't bother hiding his pitiful cultivation. The 12-level golden bell was his confidence, able to blow the heads of all those with evil intentions. So, Zhou Yi wasn't worried about anyone coveting the secret of his faster cultivation. Moreover, his cultivation was growing rapidly. In the future, he would spread his power over the world. It could also play an important publicity role. "Brother Zhou is too humble. Ever since your martial soul mutated, you've truly transformed from a carp to a dragon, skyrocketing 90,000 miles. The future is boundless." Tang Xiao and Tang Hao were shocked. Their cultivation was also very fast. Known as the Haotian twins, leading figures of the young generation on the Douluo continent. However, compared to Zhou Yi, they had been directly crushed into slag. Chapter 48. Tang Hao and Tang Xiao guard the gate. Zhou Yi is really a great benefactor. 4th updat. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Brother Zhou's become a soul king. Stoked for him. We gotta celebrate this with him. Douluo status is practically in the bag. Tang Xiao boomed, grinning ear to ear. Hold your horses, Brother Xiao, Zhou Yi chuckled, waving a hand. Actually, there's something important I need to take care of today. I know Miss Tang's spirit's kinda stuck. She'll never break level 10, right? But I stumbled on a cure-all. I'm, 70% sure I can help her spirit evolve. What? Tang Xiao and Tang Hao's jaws dropped. They stood there, stunned. Zhou Yi hitting level 50 was a shock, but this? This was something else. Helping Tang Yuehua's spirit change. Brother Zhou, did I hear you right? You can really help Yuehua's spirit evolve. That they could barely believe it. Tang Yuehua's situation was a constant ache in their hearts. Even with all the clout of the Clear Sky School, they couldn't fix it, not even their grandfather, Tang Chen, the level 99 powerhouse, could do anything, and now Zhou Yi had a shot. Anyone else, they wouldn't believe it for a second, but Zhou Yi was different, they felt like he could pull off the impossible. Absolutely. Zhou Yi pulled out the magical elixir. It was a weird-looking plant, with vines like fine hair covering the roots and leaves. But at the top was a golden tulip, the air filled with this amazing tulip fragrance, giving off a powerful vibe. Tang Xiao and Tang Hao were instantly hooked, their breathing sped up, their eyes locked on it, their hearts pounded. Is that the stuff that can change Yuehua's spirit? They asked, all nervous and hopeful. Yep, Zhou Yi nodded. It's called the Qilua tulip, real fancy stuff. Eats up the good vibes from nature, the sun, the moon, all that. Using this as the main ingredient, plus some other stuff, I can help Miss Tang's spirit evolve. No sweat. Zhou Yi sounded totally confident, with his top-tier medical skills, he only needed a tiny bit of this magic plant to help Tang Yuehua, the rest. Save it for later, for people who needed it, like Ming Rongrong. This was total game-changer material, help a girl evolve her spirit, and she'd be putty in his hands. Brother Zhou, you're a true blessing to the Tang family, a freaking savior. We gotta bow to you. Tang Xiao and Tang Hao were beyond hyped, they might not recognize the plant, but they knew it was crazy rare, even with the Clear Sky School's resources, they'd never seen anything like it. Hey, guys, no need for that. We haven't even done it yet, Zhou Yi said, quickly stopping them. I'm confident, but nothing's a sure thing until it's done. Brother Zhou, whatever happens, you'll always be a hero to our family. You guys are too kind. Miss Tang and I clicked right away, and it sucks seeing her stuck at level 9 because of her spirit. Zhou Yi said with a smile. Brother Zhou, you're a good dude. Tang Xiao and Tang Hao thought Zhou Yi might be interested in Tang Yuehua, it's just that he already had wives, and Tang Yuehua had that whole flower picker thing. Hey, Brother Zhou, gotta ask, is this spirit-changing thing dangerous? Tang Xiao asked carefully. No doubtin' your heart, but it's about Yuehua, so gotta know. Gotcha, Zhou Yi smiled. Don't sweat it. I guarantee, even if it doesn't work, it'll just stay the same. No harm to Miss Tang at all. Good. Good, that they were totally relieved. But Zhou Yi's words made them tense up again. But what? Well, it's gonna take a while, and changing a spirit like that isn't natural. It'll hurt. I can help with the fever and stuff, but Miss Tang has to get through it herself. So, I need you guys to keep watch. Dude, of course. We'll protect Yuehua with our lives. Tang Xiao and Tang Hao promised. She's tough, even if she seems sweet. As long as she isn't dying, I'm sure she can handle it. I believe it, Zhou Yi said, nodding. Alright, let's do this. Zhou Yi was pumped. Okay, we're counting on you, Brother Zhou. Words can't express our gratitude. Anything you need, just say the word. They were beyond excited, the three went up to the 5th floor, Tang Xiao and Tang Hao quickly explained everything to Tang Yuehua. When they weren't looking, Tang Yuehua gave Zhou Yi a dirty look. How dare he use such a shady method? This was straight-up deception, and her brothers were falling for it. But she couldn't call him out in front of them. Zhou Yi followed Tang Yuehua inside, closed the door, and locked it. Tang Xiao and Tang Hao stood guard, ready to blast anyone who tried to interrupt. You big liar, Tang Yuehua glared at Zhou Yi. The thought of her brothers being tricked made her furious. Hey, I didn't lie, Zhou Yi said, shaking his head. He grabbed some celadone cups and started mixing stuff. Huh, Tang Yuehua frowned. The Qilua tulip caught her eye, and she was drawn to it. Something about it felt special. Can you really help my spirit change? That she asked, her voice shaky, her eyes trying to see if he was lying. Yeah, Zhou Yi raised an eyebrow. You can doubt my character, but don't doubt my skills. Tang Yuehua rolled her eyes, she watched him work, focused on what he was doing, he looked pretty good, she had to admit. Can he really do it? Alright, Zhou Yi grabbed a cup with the potion in it. Drink this, and then I'll help your body absorb it. Your spirit will evolve for sure. Tang Yuehua got nervous, her heart racing. She'd been stuck at level 9 for so long, could this really be it? She took the cup, took a deep breath, and chugged it. Okay, she fluttered, putting down the cup. What now? Turn around. Zhou Yi looked at her, pointed to a table, and said, lie down. Tang Yuehua froze, then got it. Her eyes flashed, and she started to yell, you creep, wait. Here we go. Hearing the commotion, Tang Hao's eyes were full of hope and worry. Hope Yuehua pulls it off this time. Helping people change their spirit was unheard of, but this was Zhou Yi. They had some hope, but they weren't counting on it. It'll work. Yuehua's got this. Tang Hao said firmly, if it didn't work, the hope would only make the disappointment worse. They could hear Tang Yuehua holding back, they squeezed their fists. She didn't want them to worry, or she was embarrassed, that only made them worry more, they wanted her to let loose. That might help. Yuehua, it's okay to scream. We won't laugh. And Brother Zhou's not a stranger. Holden, it'll only make it worse, they thought. They wanted to tell her, but they didn't want to screw up her spirit change. Yuehua, you got this. Paradise is on the other side. We're proud of you. Come on. They cheered in their heads. They stood guard, quiet but just as nervous. Even Tang Yuehua wasn't as worried about her spirit, she was a little busy to care at that moment. Zhou Yi seemed to be especially excited, very angry. Time passed. Tang Hao and Tang Hao looked at the sky, worried as the sun started to set. It's been an hour. Tang Yuehua's sounds kept reaching them, and every second felt like torture. Spirits are born, not made. Forcing a change is gonna be brutal, they thought. Suddenly, a sharp scream came from inside. They jumped, their eyes going wide. Did Yuehua's spirit change? Or did it fail? Chapter 49 Tang Hao, Brother Zhou, welcome to come again next time, please vote for me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yuexian, in the 5th floor attic, Tang Yuehua lay nestled against Zhou Yi's chest, her cheeks flushed, her black hair cascading around her like a waterfall, her eyes soft and dreamy. She breathed in shallow gasps, like a fish out of water. Exhaustion lined her face, but her expression was one of pure bliss, every glance and smile radiating the captivating charm of a woman in her prime. So. Should be a new martial spirit by now, right? Zhou Yi gently stroked the beauty in his arms, relishing the feel of her silky hair and smooth back, and smiled into her languid eyes. Tang Yuehua took a deep breath, slowly sat up, and gazed at him, her voice trembling with excitement. Look, she raised her hands, summoning her martial spirit. It had once been the Rui ring, now, it was still a ring, but transformed. It shone gold, etched with arcane symbols, and emblazoned upon it were 2 ancient characters, Qiankuan. This was it, the martial spirit she had awakened after consuming the alchemical elixir concocted from the Book of Changes and enriched by the Qiluo tulip, the Qiankuan ring, or rather, the Qiankuan circle. Though it remained a ring, Tang Yuehua felt its raw power. It was on par with, if not greater than, the Haotian hammer, the signature martial spirit of her clan. Her previous Rui ring possessed no offensive capabilities, rendering her powerless to advance beyond level 9. Now, the Qiankuan circle thrummed with power, and her soul force had surged to level 10. All she needed was a soul ring, then, she would be a true soul master. The Qiankuan circle could expand or shrink, attack or defend, even trap enemies. Thank you. Tang Yuehua dismissed her martial spirit, wrapped her arms around Zhou Yi's neck, and planted a kiss on his lips. It was the only way to express the elation bubbling within her. As a scion of the Haotian clan, she longed to become a powerful soul master, but her martial spirit held her back. She could only manage the Yuexian pavilion, networking among the city's elite, teaching etiquette to wealthy kids, leveraging the empire to gain power, but political capital was no substitute for the strength of a true soul master. Meeting you is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. You're like my personal savior, Tang Yuehua said, her voice thick with emotion. Back in that cave outside Nodding City, she had been abducted by that creep, Luo Zhifan. without Zhou Yi, she would be dead, or worse, still a prisoner. I can't, oh. What's wrong? Outside the door, Tang Xiao and Tang Hao stood like sentinels, anxiously awaiting news of Yuehua's transformation. They heard her cry out. Did the martial spirit not transform? Their faces fell. What if she was in pain? Their hearts sank. They wanted to burst in, but feared it might disrupt the process, and doom Yuehua to failure, so they waited, pacing back and forth, biting their nails. Dusk painted the sky blood red. Tang Hao and Tang Xiao looked exhausted, their hope fading with the light, but as they say, it ain't over, till it's over. They held their vigil. Finally, their long wait paid off. Inside the room, Zhou Yi helped Tang Yuehua adjust her clothing and strode to the door. He fastened his belt. High. Spirited and refreshed, Zhou Yi threw open the door. 2 expectant faces greeted him. Brother Zhou, well, they asked, their voices shaking with hope, fear, and everything in between, dreading the news they might hear. Gentlemen, good news, it worked, Zhou Yi said with a smile. Boom. The words hit them like a thunderclap. The sweetest sound they'd ever heard. It was done. She succeeded. Ha ha ha, awesome. Tang Xiao and Tang Hao roared with laughter, ecstatic. Worth the wait. Shoot, it would have been worth 100 afternoons. Zhou Yi, you betcha. See you next time. Brother Zhou, we can't thank you enough. Anything you need, just ask. Tang Xiao and Tang Hao bowed solemnly to Zhou Yi, their voices full of gratitude. It was nothing. Zhou Yi said with a smile. It had been a workout. Wiped him out. They were eager to see Tang Yuehua. She was lying in bed, cheeks flushed, tears glistening in her eyes. Transforming a martial spirit was no walk in the park. She'd been through hell. Yuehua, how are you feeling? They asked with concern. I'm fine, just need to rest. Seeing them, Tang Yuehua felt a twinge of guilt. She summoned the transformed martial spirit. It's now the Qinquan circle, and my soul power is at level 10. Alright, when you're rested, we'll get you that soul ring. They were overjoyed, with their strength. Helping Tang Yuehua secure her first soul ring would be a piece of cake. Gentlemen, she needs to rest. Let's leave her be, Zhou Yi said. Right. Tang Xiao Tang Hao nodded, wrinkling their noses. Strong medicinal odor in here. That's the Qilua tulip, it's intense. Just air it out, Zhou Yi said smoothly, winking at Tang Yuehua. She blushed and hid under the covers. Tang Hao and Tang Xiao opened the window, closed the door, and whisked Zhou Yi away to celebrate. Zhou Yi had Yuexian send Tang Yuehua some rice porridge. After dinner, Tang Hao and Tang Xiao insisted Zhou Yi stay the night. Hard to say no to such hospitality. Plus, it was late, so Zhou Yi agreed. Later that night, Zhou Yi slipped back into Tang Yuehua's room. Behave, Tang Yuehua said, both excited and apprehensive. I just showered. I'll just hold you. Zhou Yi wrapped his arms around her, breathing in her fragrance, and drifted off to sleep, but Zhou Yi woke up in the middle of the night, and woke up Tang Yuehua. You said no. I'm leaving tomorrow. Zhou Yi's words stilled Tang Yuehua. Her arms dropped to her sides, as Zhou Yi. The next morning, Zhou Yi woke up refreshed. The golden bell shield in action, could go without sleep. Limitless power. Brother Zhou, why are you leaving so soon? Did we offend you? Tang Xiao and Tang Hao tried to persuade him to stay. Got stuff to do back home. The second kid's on the way. Zhou Yi said. We get it. Can't keep you here. Otherwise your wife will kill us. Tang Xiao and Tang Hao looked regretful, and then congratulated him. Congrats on becoming a father. After some pleasantries, Zhou Yi said. Oh, Yuehua just transformed her martial spirit yesterday. She'll be tired today, that's normal. Let her rest. You can get her soul ring tomorrow. Thanks, Brother Zhou. Come back anytime. We'll roll out the red carpet. Definitely will. Zhou Yi said. Oh, he'd be back, but not for Tang Xiao or Tang Hao. What would he do with those codgers? Play with hammers. But their sister was his weakness. Besides, Tang Yuehua owed him a favor, and Zhou Yi intended to collect, gotta pay up. See ya. Zhou Yi waved goodbye. Instead, he left behind his essence, selflessness, personified.